was gonna make a toast. So nice.
To these three.
Oh, finally.
Up to no good.
Strong.
The entire
Everyone's gonna
family.
get
Say
along.
that again.
Oh, okay. Don't say
It's
that.
only a compliment.
What's wrong?
Do you not think
Did I hurt
you
you?
don't like to be
Did I hurt your
strong?
feelings?
Oh.
This is my favorite. Yeah, right there. Face into the
These
freaking.
kids are always
Oh
ready
my
to throw
God.
down, man. Ah.
And then the thing is, they're so much stronger than
I know.
Rhaenyra's
Strong.
kids.
Strong. Yeah, how are Rhaenyra's kids not better fighters? Come
They're
on.
not practicing with Sir Kristen Cole.
I know.
And their dad, who was a great fighter, is burned to
Here
a
we
crisp.
go. He's like, come on.
That's
Don't
he
be
wants
like
him to
this.
be his dad so bad, and I want him to be my daddy too.
Damon's like, did I somehow father you? Am I somehow your
Honestly, that was the first thought I thought about.
Yeah,
That
it's like,
Damon
did him
is
and
like,
Alicent share a night together?
Damon's like, you should be
Are
my
you one of
kid.
mine?
Do
Are
you
you one
think?
of mine?
Okay, we'll get into it. You guys, welcome back to New Rockstars. It's the end of the long and decaying road for King
Oh, my
Viserys.
poor guy.
You got a hole in like every part of his body. But just as he thinks he's setting up the two sides of his family for united success, a little slip of the milk of the poppy, drugged up tongue, threatens to poison that as well, you guys. He goes off in the worst way possible.
Not now, not
I
now,
was
not
screaming.
now.
I was going, that's not her! That's not her! Oh my God, okay. I think we might just see a few more heads get lopped off before this is all
Oh my
over, you guys.
gosh.
This is Big Question Presents Talking Dragons, our weekly fantasy after show. I'm Jessica Clemons, and with me today is Brandon Barrick.
Hello. So happy to be here. So happy to survive the night and wake up alive. Feeling good, feeling great. How are you feeling,
How are you?
Jessica?
I think, honestly, what a way to go out for Viserys. He goes, my love, my love.
All alone, all by himself.
His teeth were black as night.
Oh my gosh.
His teeth were gone, black as night, and he had 4 holes in his face.
When he's with his little new grandkids and they're just screaming, I'm like, get these kids out of here.
That shot was way too long, but long because it's like we want you to feel how shocking this
know.
is to see a skeleton alive.
It was really sad to see how sickly he was. We thought he was going to die like 3 episodes ago.
Okay, we had a lot to talk about, but when he walks up to the throne, we need to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're going to do a quick recap of episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. We're not going to spoil anything upcoming in this series. We got 2 episodes left. We'll talk about stuff from the book that happens before all this. We'll talk about things that happen later in Game of Thrones, but no spoilers for this show, so you don't have to worry about that. But let's get into it. We're going to do a recap of episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. We begin this episode in Driftmark, where Rhaenys is holding down the Driftwood Throne. It's been 6 years since she saw her sweet husband, Corlys. They didn't end on good terms. And since we last saw all the main group of kids, so we've jumped ahead another 6 years. The main group is mostly in the 17 to 21 years of age range right now, except for our little baby boy Joffrey and the new kids. We'll get into those a little bit later. But there's news that Corlys has been severely injured while fighting in the Stepstones. The Triarchy's back. Will they ever go away? I don't think so. He's got a fever. He's not looking good. He's 3 days away from Driftmark. In the case that he doesn't survive, Vaemond, Corlys' younger brother, worries about who would take the throne in Driftmark. He thinks it should be him to keep a Valyrian in the seat. It's clear that he doubts Lucerys Valyrian's lineage, Rhaenyra's kid. I don't know why he would doubt that. He looks great. Rhaenys is not going to hear any of this. She doesn't want to talk about Vaemond taking over. But Vaemond is ready to bring his petition up to the seat of power in King's Landing. So Rhaenys is like, I guess I'll have to go too to deal with this.
At Dragonstone, we get our first look at how one harvests dragon eggs. It's Daemon right there, climbs into a smoky cave near the active volcano, Dragonmont. Syrax, Rhaenyra's dragon, has laid 3 eggs. 3 eggs. And also this scene of like, it doesn't seem that hard.
No? I mean, you got to climb into a volcano.
That is also true.
And you got to worry about Syrax coming back and be like, what'd you do with
What you do with my eggs? Yeah. Coincidentally, Rhaenyra has given birth to 2 more boys with a 3rd child on the way. Just like the eggs.
Yeah. I
Just
love
like the eggs.
3 new kids, 3 dragon eggs. It
Hopefully
seems to
they
work
get
pretty
attached.
Well.
It's a lot
Hopefully
of
they hatch and all that. One quick thing, like looking at dragons, this was great. We saw a lot of like kind of the layout of Dragonstone where it sits on the island. You brought up Dragonmount, the volcano there. How do you live at Dragonstone and dress in all black and have all the smoke and the dragons and be like, we're the good guys, right? I mean, this looks like a villain's lair. That's all I'm going to say.
That's true.
If I grew up there, I'd be like, are we the bad guys?
Well, they don't know then that the juxtaposition.
It doesn't look friendly.
I mean, yeah, it looks like the people that are on the water are probably the good people.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe they're like, well, we're on good people's side. We're just bad people. Okay, either way. Her eldest son, Jace, is studying High Valyrian, and it's so cute. It's so cute. It's so sweet. He's trying. He's trying really hard.
He wants to be good at it. He wants to hold up the Targaryen traditions, even though he knows what's up. He's
trying.
Like, I'm going to be the best Targaryen I can.
Honestly, in contrast to Aegon.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's night and day. It's clear he wants to be king who honors the Targaryen tradition of his forebears. Daemon and Rhaenyra agree that they need to also go to King's Landing to deal with the succession of the Lord of the Tides and keep it on Lucerys.
Yeah, they can't let that slip away. They're like, well, I guess we're going too. So they make it to King's Landing, and it's clear that Alicent and Otto are running the show here. The Red Keep has gotten some renovations. Religious iconography is everywhere, including a giant 7-pointed star in the main hallway, which is like very jarring to see. Alicent's wearing her 7-pointed star everywhere. They got them all over the place. And they've taken down all the fun erotic dragon tapestries everywhere, except for in Viserys' room. They let the old man keep his porno up on the walls. But they're gone from everywhere else. And it's very quiet in the castle. Like every time we've seen that hallway before, there's people milling about, walking around, a big court. But not now. It's like very quiet. And like the one guy who greets them when they shows up, he's like, thank God. He's like, oh, you're back. God. Oh my gosh. This place is a nightmare. All the porno's off the walls.
What are we going to do?
Rhaenyra's given a very muted reception on her arrival, despite the fact that she's the heir to the throne. That really stuck out to me. Like, she's supposed to be the next one, and you're like, she's showing up at the back door almost. Like, where's the bands?
I like later when Daemon addresses it, and he's like, too busy to welcome us.
When he's sitting and his pregnant wife is standing. Classic Daemon. In the small council, under the direction of Alicent and Otto, they're having a conversation where it's clear that they're happy to replace Luke as the heir to the throne in Driftmark. You know, Otto and Alicent, they want to get someone friendly in there who will put the Navy on their side should a war break out. I don't know why. Except for our good old man Beesbury, who is too old and slow to keep up with this Game of Thrones. But when they start talking about putting Luke on there, he's like, what are you talking about? This is treason. And they're like, shut up, old man.
Yeah, they said, shut your mouth. Thank you for your added input. They were so mean to him.
So mean to him. In Viserys' room, the model of Valyria is dusty and covered in cobwebs. And our king is in rough shape. And now, we've said this every episode of Talking Dragons, but our king is in rough shape. His body is fully decaying. His clavicle is like sticking out of his skin. He's got holes everywhere, including his face. He's got a missing eye.
We talked about this last week, but it's insane how during that time, like bacteria and germs somehow kind of helped you live a little bit longer as that disgusting body.
Yeah, there's some bacteria that's good.
Well, it's just like, because I'm like, I don't think any of us today can survive what he's been laying in his bed being gnawed at by rats.
Rhaenyra and Daemon visit him, and both are clearly saddened by his appearance. Daemon notices that they're keeping him drugged up on milk of the poppy, just keeping him in his room, not letting him attend court or anything. They remind Viserys of the importance of keeping Lucerys as the heir to Driftmark. That's why they're here. But they both clearly feel bad about bothering Viserys in this state. And Rhaenyra, of course, introduces them to her two new sons.
Yes, Alicent's son, Aegon, has been terrorizing the staff, literally. After one girl is assaulted, Alicent is left to pick up the pieces by gaslighting her and paying her off and making her drink the moon tea. This scene was horrific, but it also, what are you going to say?
Well, my wife was worried. They showed her pouring it, and it was like very blue when they showed her pouring the tea. My wife was like, they're going to kill her.
They're going to kill her?
They were like,
I was genuinely
that's not even like moon tea. That's going to be like dead tea.
I was genuinely like, oh, is she about to kill her? But also, I think you talked about that. We'll go on. We'll go on and we'll get back to this. Yes. When confronting Aegon, Alicent is emotionally and physically abusive, telling him, "You are no son of mine."
I mean, he's a bad dude, but that's some harsh stuff.
He's a bad kid. Well, what is he doing? I agree with this. I'm also like Team Alicent, so I'm like I agree with Alicent in this. Her son has been.
Right, but like you made this. Fix this.
That is also true. That is true, and I like that line where he is straight up like, you and father have never, I'm trying so hard and you don't notice.
I don't know how hard he's trying.
I don't know how hard he's trying. Aemon, though. So his brother Aemon has been putting in work, training in combat with Sir Criston Cole. When he spots Jace and Luke in the yard, who are clearly awed by his prowess, he greets them as nephews.
Oh, I did love that. Like, purposely calling out, like, you're my nephews. I mean, in the previous episode, we kind of had that confusion where, like, the Kingsguard are saying they're cousins. They're not cousins. Like,
No, they're
these
nephews.
are their nephews.
That's-
and this
yeah.
boy has grown up. I love how they're watching the fight and they're like, oh, who's this fighter out there? And then they see the eye patch and they're like, oh, boy.
Well, and it's also like Aemon, we saw how he was treated as a child. Of course, he's going to put in the extra work after now having Vagar
He's got that
to become
complex.
the, like, I'm going to I'm gonna mess him up. Also, it's like I think it's important to note that that's his nephews. Aemon and Aegon are siblings to Rhaenyra.
Right. Yeah. Vaemond has an off-the-books council meeting with Otto and Alicent before the big petition. I did like this. They purposely show us that, like, the marbles are not in the holes. They're still in the centerpiece. So, like, this is not an official council meeting. They're kind of getting their ducks in a row. Like, hey, we need you to show up at the petition. We're going to be on your side. Don't worry. Rhaenyra and Rhaenys have their own little pre-meeting at the Weirwood tree in the Godswood. When the topic of Laenor comes up, Rhaenyra says something very important here. She says, quote, I did not order his death, nor was I complicit in it, I swear. This is yet another very syntax important statement in the Godswood. This is where before she had told Alicent, like, I didn't lose my maidenhood to Daemon last night, which was all true. She did lose her maidenhood to Sir Criston Cole.
Yes.
But here she is again in the same Godswood, kind of being very careful with her words, because she didn't order Laenor's death. We know he's alive, and she wasn't complicit in it, because, again, he's alive. But, as far as Rhaenys goes, she's just bullshitting her, right?
Yeah.
Like, Rhaenys doesn't believe it at all. Rhaenyra makes an offer to marry Laena's kids to hers. Yeah, she likes making this move too. Like, I'll marry my kids to your kids. Rhaenys doesn't seem to want to accept and warns her that tomorrow the High Towers will land their first blow. So it seems like she's leaning Team Hightower on this one.
Or it seems like, okay, after she's like, I gotta stand on my own. I was
Right.
like, oh, maybe she genuinely is like, I'm getting messed up from both directions. No one cares about me.
Yeah.
Like, no one gives a
She's gotta
hoot
look out
about
for herself.
my husband is dying, my children are dead. No one is looking out for me, so I'm looking out for myself,
yeah.
which I respect.
Rhaenyra checks in on Viserys again before this big petition argument, and she brings up Aegon's dream, the Song of Ice and Fire, and she points out that, like, by naming me heir, you divided the realm. And you could tell that she feels the pressure of, like, I need to do what's right because I'm the only one that knows about this besides my dad. He hasn't told anyone else. And I've got to make sure that my kids take the throne, but I need my dad to help me out. I need him to show up. I need him to be sober. You got to come in. You got to be on my side. It was also important, he calls her during this moment my only child, which... You got other kids, my guy. You got
But we know
maybe
Emma
four
meant
other kids.
Emma meant the world to him.
Emma
meant
was
the
his true love. And I think this is very important because we see how it plays out later. I was also wondering right here, do you think Rhaenyra used a secret passage to get into his room?
No, I think she just bypassed everyone.
Because I would assume the Kingsguard, who's watching the room, would tell Alicent, like, hey, Rhaenyra just went in there.
I don't think they did. I don't think they care. They're like,
you
this
think
is.
they're on, like, Team Rhaenyra?
I don't even think they. Well, they could be, but I also think it's like that's his daughter. And also, unlike Sir Criston Cole, these guys aren't all up in everyone's business. So they're like, that's the princess. She can go see her dad. I don't see what the problem is with that.
I think she took a secret passageway to get in.
With all those kids and Daemon.
Well, no, when she comes in later to see him at night. Yeah,
Oh, yes, no,
I think she
absolutely.
snuck in there and no one knew.
I thought you meant with
Oh, no, not Daemon.
the 3 kids and Daemon. I was like, that sounds like a lot of work.
I think Daemon was like, you need to go see your dad again.
100%.
Sneak
easily.
in there, don't let anyone see you.
Secret pack. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with you. Okay, so it's time for the People's Court, you guys.
Dun.
Dick Wolf. So, Otto takes the throne in the king's name.
Ooh, you know he loved that. He's using a big boy voice up there.
It's hard. I'm speaking out to the audience that are still somehow Team Alicent like myself. It's really hard. It's really hard to be Team Alicent when stuff like this happens. So Otto takes the throne in the king's name. Vaemond makes an opening petition. But before Rhaenyra can make her case, Viserys hobbles in.
Oh my gosh.
To everyone's surprise, complete a gold mask covering his affected face.
This hideous face. I mean, this was like stone cold, glass breaking, sound hits. The music comes in, the doors open. They give him the whole pronouncement. King of his, first of his name, Lord of the Andals. Like just hobbling to the throne.
Literally, no one's help. I don't care if he was like, let me go. I'd be like, we need to help him. He's the king. Also, if I was Alicent.
Otto's like, oh, this fucking guy.
Oh my God. Literally, like, get your ass back to bed, you old, decrepit mother. So as he makes the long walk up to the Iron Throne, the crown literally falls off his head, which I found out later was an accident. It was on accident.
It wasn't supposed to happen?
It wasn't supposed to happen. And Daemon helps him in a moment of brotherly love and crowns him the king.
It was so beautiful.
Yes, behind the scenes, and a little fun fact, fell off by accident, and Daemon, Matt Smith, picked it up and put it back on his head, and they used it.
Because he's shoving everyone off. He's like, don't help me, don't help me. And we don't see, another person comes up, we don't see who it is. He's like, yeah, and he sees it's his brother. Beautiful.
That
Beautiful
moment when Daemon did originally see him with like in bed as that like sick man.
And he had to bring up like the reason they were there, but he like doesn't want to look at
He doesn't even want to. It's sad.
It's so sad.
It's pretty horrible. So Viserys is pissed that the succession is even being petitioned. Remember, they brought it up before. He was like, if you guys bring up my grandchildren ever again, I'm going to cut your tongue out.
Done stuff.
Yeah, and basically leaves it up to Rhaenys to decide as Corlys' wife, which should have been in the original place. Like, that's why she was like, no one cares about me. And it's like, you are the wife of the king of Driftmark.
I think this was a good move by Viserys.
Yes.
Because it's like, this is his cousin, and it's like, they're of the same generation, and it's like, we should be in this.
And it's also,
I'm on your side here.
It's also, we're just listening to her. We're not crowning her the only member of, we're listening to his wife. The person that would know best.
I think that'll be important later.
Yes, absolutely. So she sides with Lucerys being the heir and accepts Rhaenyra's marriage proposal in front of everyone.
What a boss move.
Her little granddaughters go, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
they're like,
they're so happy to marry this.
Thank God.
I mean, hey, they're pretty. The other two kids are pretty. They have pretty kids. Go on.
We saw when Rhaenyra was a young lady and went around the kingdom looking for a suiter. Not a lot of great options out there.
Not a lot of great options.
Lot of
You'd have been with that old man that knew your great grandmother.
Oh no. Oh, she was beautiful. I saw Queen Alicent. She was gorgeous.
Stop.
So Vaemond is rightfully pissed by this outcome, and my guy calls out Lucerys and Jacaerys' bloodline. He drops the B word after Daemon does a little say it.
Say it.
He drops the B word and he calls Rhaenyra a whore to boot.
Wasn't
even
done.
Viserys, he stands up and he's ready to use the important cat's paw dagger, the Valyrian steel dagger that will one day kill the Night King.
Don't know what he was going to do with it.
Cut out that tongue, sir.
Don't know what he was going to do with it.
But Daemon beats him to it with a nice little quip. He can keep his tongue. Beautiful stuff. It's a very smooth decapitation. Aemon loves it. Aemon loves what he's seeing. Helena is overstimulated. She kind of grabs her head, which I really like, because it kind of shows, we've been speculating Helena's somewhere on the spectrum. Like, this moment is like too much for her. She grabs her head. Aegon's like, or Aemon's like, yes, I love this. Aegon can't even look at it. He kind of just is like looking down the whole time. He's like, I don't want to do stuff like this. I just want to go have sex.
I love that Aemon was like,
Yeah, Aemon's like, I like this move. I'm going to save that for later.
When I say I love this scene, I love the actor that plays Viserys. That scene was gorgeous.
Yeah,
that was a
Patty
theater. That was
Constantine. This was, he's been amazing every episode, but this was incredible.
This was that, oh my God. Yeah. I was like, damn, this actor is getting his check. He said, oh, last time you don't see me?
I do like too how cleanly the cut is, because they set up in the previous episode that Valyrian steel cut super cleanly. Like the Maester says that when Rhaenyra was cut, and we see her scar a couple times during this episode. Important moments, kind of a reminder of where her and Alicent had left off.
Yes. Sorry, you guys. A dog came into the studio, and I got too excited. Okay, so with that business settled.
Yeah,
it actually is.
Head gets cut off, and Otto's like, "Get that guy's sword," and Damon's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm putting my sword away." And they're like, "Okay, dinner time, great."
Yeah, the only conclusion we get is literally Rhaenys being like, "Yeah, I know death. I know death very well."
Yeah.
So she thinks. Either way, with that business being settled, it's dinner time. Rhaenyra and Alicent awkwardly wait for the king, who is smartly carried in this time. Yeah, because we don't see him being carried in by that thing before.
He wanted to walk into the throne room. He did not want to be carried into the throne room. But when it's just dinner with his fam, he's like, put me in the chair, please.
Please, walk me to my meal.
I want to eat tonight. Come on, let's go.
Viserys sits between his wife and his daughter with his face covered on the side where Alicent sits.
I thought that was like very important too. The mask is on the side that Alicent's on, so he has to like really turn to look at her.
He does. So Viserys begs his family to get along for the sake of the crown because he's clearly going to die soon.
Yeah, he knows he's almost dead. He's like, guys, you got to put this to bed.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra makes the first move and cheers the queen for her loyalty as queen and wife of her father. Maybe she's drinking a little Negroni. Spagliato. With Prosecco in it. Maybe.
Oh, stunning.
Maybe that's what she's drinking. I don't know. She also technically apologizes in this speech. She says, I apologize. She doesn't really lay out everything, but she says, I apologize.
I think theirs was sincere.
Yeah, I think
theirs
she
was
was
actually
trying to
genuine.
make a move. Everyone sees the state that Viserys is in. They're like, let's put this to bed. Alicent then cheers Rhaenyra and her house and seems to accept the inevitable. She says, quote, you will make a fine queen. Otto hates this, but she says it.
I think it's a moment of like, we were friends once.
Yeah.
And I think also, even if they don't mean it, I think they mean it for tonight.
Yeah.
Because they do know like their dad bet that speech was still like, please,
Yeah,
I am
he's
dying.
Like falling apart. I mean, here is where we see his face for the first time in the show, and it's impactful. Jace cheers his uncles. He's like, I'll be the bigger guy here. Aegon and Aemond. Aegon makes some body remarks to Baela in front of her newly betrothed Jace, which Jace does not appreciate. Helena cheers Rhaenyra and Baela after it's clear that no one else is going to, but she's also muttering a little more, perhaps, prophecy. She says, beware the beasts beneath the boards. What could that beast be? Dinner seems to be going great. The families are united. They're dancing. Viserys is so happy. He did it. He saved the crown and the realm. A job well done, Viserys. He's like, you know what? I think I'll go to bed now. I feel like garbage. After Viserys leaves the room, Aemond, he gets laughed at by Lucerys when a cooked pig is placed in front of him, a little reminder of the pink dread. And he's had enough, and he has a toast of his own for his nephews. He calls them, quote, handsome, wise, and strong. These three strong boys. So, of course, a fight breaks out, and Rhaenyra sends everyone to bed.
Rhaenyra wants to take the kids home, but tells Alicent she'll fly back to visit. It seems like they might just get along after all. I'm very into this. In bed later, Viserys is near the end. In a stupor, he mutters about Aegon's dream, thinking he's having the conversation from the night before with Rhaenyra. He says things like, the prince that was promised to unite the realm against the dark, it was you. You must do this. She thinks this is about their son Aegon, Alicent's son Aegon, and leaves the room... and leaves the room with some new ambition. Viserys is left alone to die, reaching out and calling for my love.
My love.
And then
then he dies. What an episode. Incredible stuff. He dies alone, reaching out for Emma, we assume, right?
Yeah, I assume.
The wife, his first wife, the one he really loved, Rhaenyra's mother. He always carries her ring around, too. Like, he always has that on him. But what an episode. We got lots to talk about in this episode, but first... be sure to head over to newrockstarsmerch.com, where there is still time to grab our latest Obsession shirt, Ash and Ruin, inspired by the House of the Dragon series. This limited edition shirt will be gone faster than a person screaming bastard in the throne room, so be sure to grab one when you can. Check out all of our great merch options over at newrockstarsmerch.com. So Jessica, the end of this episode gave us the final moments of Viserys' life, with him sort of mumbling some of the key parts of Aegon's dream, the Song of Ice and Fire, to Alicent. It all leads us to our big question this week. Is everything that's about to happen Viserys' fault? Is this all Viserys' fault? Viserys had established with Alicent, his wife, in a previous episode that he was a dreamer, right? When they're on that royal hunt, they have that conversation in front of the bonfire where he's like, I don't ride a dragon, but I'm a dreamer. I have these dreams. In the first episode, he had told his wife, Emma, I had a vision of our son wearing the Iron Crown, leading the realm, right? So is this all his fault that he's is he setting everything in motion here?
He's having these dreams, and I guess the question is, do we believe him? And I do. I believe him, and I believe Helena. Yeah, I believe both of them are actual dreamers because, he did see, he was like, it's a son, and it was a son, though it died. It is a son, nonetheless. So I do believe it, but I don't think it's, his fault for having these, visions.
Right. Well, should he have, let Alicent in on this Song of Ice and Fire before? Is that something he should have told her
I see
earlier?
Why he didn't, and it's because, not to be horrible, but she was just married in. She wasn't Emma, who started this empire with him.
Right.
And it's not his blood daughter. It's Alicent Hightower. So it's like she's not even a Targaryen. She was originally she was a Hightower. So it's like I think it's like the less she knows, the better. And she's literally, which is true, she's literally there because the realm was like, you need a new queen. So it's like she's not really Emma. She's not really the queen. She's just there so people will stop asking.
She was put there by her father, too.
Yeah, and her father
she
was a plant. So but for what Viserys knows, I could see why he wouldn't tell her.
Yeah, we do know that this idea of the prince that was promised is something that lives on in Game of Thrones, right? That's something Melisandre was always talking about, and she gets a dude to burn his daughter at the stake because it's this concept of a prince that was promised. So is this kind of is that what gets passed down in the wrong way via Alicent and stuff, the idea of the prince that was promised? Now, a lot of this is on Alicent's shoulders, right? She knows better. Don't you think she knows? I mean,
what do you mean? You mean at the very last part? At the very last part?
Right here at the end.
How was she supposed to know that he talked to Rhaenyra already about it?
It's not even that. It's that your husband is high on drugs. You just gave him milk and a poppy. No, she just gave it to him right before he starts. So you think it works immediately? Well, I bet it's pretty fast acting. The guy's been taking it for days on end, for years.
That's true.
She knows that he's drugged up and he's in a stupor and he's dying, right? And he's kind of mumbling this stuff. He's not really talking with her. He's mumbling things, and she's like, what are you saying? And he says Aegon. Now, of course, there's several Aegons. This is Aegon's dream. They have a son named Aegon, and Rhaenyra very smartly named her first son with Daemon, Aegon, and named the second one Viserys. Rhaenyra doing this knowing about this like prince that was promised and how, she needs to set up the realm in the right way. And also to curry favor with her dad.
Yeah,
right?
100.
So there's too many Aegons. And like Alicent's hearing what she wants to hear. She knows her Aegon is a problem. She knows that like, obviously he's a sexual assaulter. Like he's not a good dude. His morals are bad. He's a mess. She's done a not great job putting him in a position to lead the realm. Yeah. Even though she wants him to take over. So she hears what she thinks she needs to hear. And now she can be like, okay, great. This is what my husband wants. Perfect.
Well, I think she still has maybe some inkling because even though he does have that sword or that like the dagger, it still has something embedded. It's like.
But she doesn't know that's there.
But how would she not know?
He's never shown it to her.
She grabbed it to stab.
Right, but it's only when it's in the fire that you can see what it says, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Now, it was in that scene where she almost stabs Rhaenyra, it's held up and there's fire in the background, but it's not like lighting up what
you can see it.
Plus, I don't think she speaks High Valyrian.
No, that is true.
So she wouldn't be able to read it anyway.
Her sons don't.
I would assume that they've been taught, if they're dragon riders, they know at least enough to command a dragon.
Okay.
Like when Aemond conquered, first rode Vhagar, he was speaking Valyrian but those are the commands he was taught. I would hope that they've been taught, much like Viserys is trying to learn it, right? I would think they would have learned some High Valyrian.
I think her family probably knows High Valyrian better than Alicent's, because Alicent's probably like, just go study and whatever. They don't really care.
And I don't think like Viserys was really speaking it a lot either.
He wasn't. But
it was something Rhaenyra loved doing and Daemon loved doing.
Yeah.
They had their little secret.
That's what I'm doing all the time.
But you bring up a great point. We see in that last scene too that the dagger is in his room. So it's like Alicent has control of the king and control of this dagger. She doesn't know the importance of the dagger, but that's where it is. And that's like Rhaenyra's best claim. If Rhaenyra wants to be like, hey, my dad told me about this prophecy that's very important. It's written on this dagger. Alicent could be like, what dagger? I don't know what dagger you're talking about.
Who?
Right?
Where?
And I assume that at this point, a lot of the power is in Otto and Alicent's hand to let out that the king is dead or not, right? They can very much say like, oh, the king's still alive. He's sleeping. They've been keeping him in his room up until this point for years. We don't know. So it wouldn't be a surprise if tomorrow no one knows that the king is dead, because Alicent and Otto can keep that secret.
Yeah, that's true.
So they hold a lot of power right now, and we'll discuss that in our power rankings. But like, it's up to them now. But Alicent knows better than this. She should know that her son should not be the king. But it's almost like a sunk cost fallacy, right?
Where else is she gonna go? Where is she? That's the only option she has.
She's put up with so much. She has done so much just to get her dad to be like, I love you, which I don't know if he's still said. I mean, he said it that one time, but like, just to get her dad's approval, she has put up with so much. And we see this too when she's dealing with Diana, right? The staff member that was assaulted. you know, you can see it in her eyes, like, I went through this and I had to, like, you know, marry this guy. I had to have sex with him. I never wanted to. So you're just going to have to put up with this too.
Yeah.
This is all like a result of her own trauma and just like, I've put up with so much and I've come so far. Nothing's going to destroy that for me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to set up my family for success here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you have to make the horrible assaulter son.
Yeah. And like really, you know, this, you kind of talked about this earlier too. It points, all goes back to them, to Otto and the council forcing Viserys to choose an heir.
Yeah.
Because they were afraid that Daemon Targaryen was going to take over. Even though Daemon never wants to be king. He doesn't want to be king. He saw what happened to his brother. It killed him. It killed him. He never wanted that. He just wanted to be close with his brother. He wanted to have a little bit of power. You know what I mean? He just wanted to be a part of it. He wanted to be the hand, right, to his brother. And his brother never gave him that. So he was like on his own. And it's just kind of funny that like, all of these problems are a result of them forcing Viserys to pick an heir, and they picked an heir that he didn't like.
Yep.
So now, here we are. All of these problems. Should have just let the man rest after his wife died.
We don't have time for that.
We don't have time to that.
Also, where is, okay, we'll get into it. I was going to say, where's Larry's?
We didn't see any Larys Strong this episode. Yeah, I wonder where he went.
He's up to something.
He is up to something.
Probably killed Viserys.
We saw him in the preview for next week, so he'll be coming back. But yeah, we don't see him this episode. We want to thank our sponsors for this episode, Mint Mobile. When it comes to having a dinner with your whole family, there's always a catch. You know, someone's going to ask for a favor or bring up old drama or some of that. The same is true for wireless phone service. There's always a catch. But thankfully, Mint Mobile is out there offering premium wireless starting at just $15 a month. And the best part, Jessica? There's no catch. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet, sweet savings directly to you. Many folks here at New Rockstars have made the switch to Mint Mobile, and they love the quality service they get, as well as savings they get compared to their old providers. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a whole family. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped directly to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/bigq. That's mintmobile.com/bigq. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/bigq.
Yep.
Okay, Jessica, I got another question for you that's kind of been bugging me with this episode. Was Rhaenys always going to back Lucerys' claim as heir to the throne? Or do you think that was a game time decision she made?
If Viserys never showed up and said, I want your opinion.
Right.
Do you think?
If Otto had remained up there and their little plan with Vaemond had gone over, what do you think Rhaenys was there to do?
I think she would have clearly chosen Lucerys still. Because we still get that talk that she has with Vaemond where she's like, my husband's not even dead yet.
Yeah, she wasn't
and we're having this
that
conversation.
Yeah.
And then also, this is what my husband did say. And he agreed with it. And honestly, if I'm choosing sides, I choose this bastard kid over you any day because of the way you're acting already. Also, I think with Lucerys, he's a child, but I also think Rhaenyra wouldn't guide him in the way of like, leave the Valyrians out of it, you know? I think Vaemond, though, would be like, you are now out of here. I'm going to get a wife of my own, and I'm going to be king and queen of Driftmark. Get Rhaenys out of there and not care about the daughters or the grandchildren. And that was like also interesting is the fact that he was like blood, but he did not give two shits about his granddaughters.
No.
He did not, or his nieces.
Yeah.
He didn't care anything about the nieces. And
he
I was
wasn't
like,
about to see them take the throne.
Yeah.
He was also very much like Corlys. We're like, I don't know if a lady should sit on the
he's like,
throne. I mean, I see Vaemond's issue, right?
Yeah.
Like their house is kind of getting wiped out. You know, like these children of Rhaenyra's that bear the Valyrian name are not. right? Like they're strong and they're Targaryen.
But it's also, and that's why I'm so glad they went to Rhaenys for her wisdom during the whole petition, because I was like, we need to remember what Corlys said. At least I do, because I loved it so much when Corlys was like, they're not going to remember blood in history. They're going to remember names. And it doesn't matter that he doesn't look like us.
He just wants the name sitting in there.
I agree wholeheartedly. I'm like, no one's going to be writing down what blood type that child was.
Right.
They're going to be like, his last name was Valerian.
Right.
So, yeah.
I mean, I think that, Rhaenyra has offered up her children for marriage a couple times as like a last-ditch effort. We saw like Lucerys and Helena dancing very sweetly, and it was like that was a proposition she made at the council meeting once that Viserys was very much into, and Alicent was like, well, we'll think about that. But you see how happy they could have been, and that would have been a good match. But
I think any of her children with anyone would be good.
I think Rhaenyra made a smart play, because like her saying like, I'll marry my kids to the girls, basically, just kind of securing that like there will be some Valyrian blood in there. Don't worry about it. It'll get fixed out.
It'll
in the
come
end.
back. It'll come back.
I think Rhaenys is in like a really interesting position. I love that idea you brought up of like Vaemond could just like kind of push her out. It was powerful because at the very beginning she's like, my husband's like 3 days away.
Yeah.
And instead of waiting for him to come back and then going down to King's Landing, she's like, no, I got to go down there now and get this settled. Yeah. Almost in a way to be like, I can do what I want before my husband gets back. Because she could have put herself in position, right? She could have said, no, I should take over the throne in my husband's stead.
I think she knows, but she was talking to young Rhaenyra so much about like, no one wants a woman. No one wants a woman. It's happened to me. No one wants a woman. So I still think she believes that horrible notion that like,
she's almost afraid to put her granddaughter in that position.
That and also herself of like, I'm gonna speak for I'm gonna speak for Corlys. It's like, well, remember that last time you tried to run and everyone was like, the queen that never was. So
but
I think
she's also seen that like, putting her children in positions of power got them killed. And so like, she doesn't necessarily want to put her granddaughter up there to be like,
that's true.
You should be sitting on the throne, and they just like kill her. Like,
Rhaenys is literally like, I have no one. She's like, I have my grandchildren, and that is it.
That conversation in the Godswood is important because she tells Rhaenyra like the Hightower's about to make a move and I'm gonna enjoy it, like because she still thinks Rhaenyra killed Laenor or had Laenor killed. Yeah. That's where Rhaenys is at, and then she doesn't go to that dinner later, right? She's hanging out with the Silent Sisters, watching Vaemond get stitched back together, and it does that whole speech about like I've seen the stranger many times. I'm not afraid of death. Like I could, because their whole thing is like. In the religion, it's like you're not the Silent Sisters, like they see death, so they have to be quiet because like they're shown something that no one should see, that whole concept, and so they have to remain quiet about it and like cover their faces and all that stuff. Rhaenys isn't having that. She's like, no, I've dealt with this too much. Now she's gonna go back to Driftmark, and she's fully aligned with Rhaenyra now, whatever that means, and she's gonna have to deal with that. But I still don't think she trusts her at all. I still think she's willing to undercut them, but like she knows that aligning with Rhaenyra and Daemon is a good move, and they have the strong navy. They still have that strong navy. If Corlys is still alive when she gets home, I don't know how. I'm sure he'll be happy to see that she held the line. Yeah. She kept up what he wanted.
Yeah,
I think that'll make him happy.
And that's the thing is like I think Rhaenys is still like. Maybe if we can't trust her fully, she loved her man. And she stands by Corlys. Yes. And whatever, and they both stood for each other, even though sometimes I was like, you bringing this up too much that she should have been queen. I think you just want to get the throne. Either way, I think she's like, I'm going to stand with whatever my husband says, and until he's dead, that's when like, it'll change. But
now, I mean, this kind of, Viserys giving Rhaenys the final say in the succession line, right? That's kind of an important claim that Alicent can bring up later. If anyone questions the heir to the Iron Throne, Alicent could bring up like, hey, Viserys said the wife is important in picking these things in the husband's absence, right?
Yeah, 100.
So Alicent could say like, well, now I should get to have a say in it. I'm the queen, right?
It's gonna backfire.
I should get a say.
It's gonna backfire.
Even though, like Viserys already named Rhaenyra, everyone bowed to Rhaenyra, right? They pledged their loyalty to her. Like this is an argument Alicent can bring up later that like Viserys kind of set precedent that wives have a lot of say in the line of succession.
But that's the thing is everyone can be like, yeah, well he's dead now. So
well, they don't know he's dead.
Oh yeah.
No one knows that Viserys is dead yet. So I don't know. Yeah, I think Rhaenys' next move here can be very calculated, especially if like there's gonna be one or two of Daemon and Rhaenyra's kids hanging out in Driftmark, right? Like she can kind of have control there. She has the Navy at her disposal also via her family, so.
It's the youngest one that's getting Driftmark because the oldest one is online to be.
Viserys is going to be, he'll be eventually on the Iron Throne, in theory.
Reminder, last episode he said he doesn't want to be king of anything because that means everyone dies.
And guess what? Everyone's dying.
And guess what? They're decaying from the inside out. They're being eaten alive.
I mean, the way they described the rotting from the inside out. The way they described what's happening to Corlys sounds awful too. Like he gets cut. And he's got a fever, and he's burning on the inside.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Also, can you imagine, like, okay, you're sick. We're gonna get you home. Also, it's like a boat
It's gonna
ride.
take 3 to 6 days, my dude. A piece of me was like, I don't trust a lot of what people are saying.
I want to see this guy.
Yeah, I want to see if he's actually dead. Are you guys planning on killing him? And you sent the Raven ahead of time. Either way. Either way. I'm suspicious of everyone in this show.
Something else. Sorry.
No, it was about so Driftmark is being taken by Lucerys because the other brother is in line to be the king.
Right.
So when you say two of the children, you think they would send more than one? You also think they would send like Viserys and Luce?
No, I mean that Lucerys and his new wife Rhaena will be in Driftmark.
Oh,
right.
And you called them Daemon's kids because
kid. I know, it's very confusing.
Jesus Christ! Get our tapestry up.
Get the tapestry. Get the sex tapestry up. One more thing I want to bring up about Rhaenys' conversation with Rhaenyra in the Godswood. She looks at the weirwood tree, right, and she says, "All of this." She basically says, like, "All of this doesn't matter." It doesn't. And I think that's an interesting thing because the weirwood, right, that was set up by like the first men. It was like an old religion thing that the Septums like left all these trees around when they kind of brought in this new religion to be like, look, we're not getting, you can have the old gods and you can have the new gods. We'll leave all these weirwood trees around. That's important. And I think, Rhaenys kind of has a moment of like, all of this BS doesn't matter because time's going to march on and things will get settled and things will change, but like it all doesn't matter. So I think she's just like been around so much death and has lost so much. I think she's just done. And she kind of wants to set things up and walk away. That's how I feel about it. I think she's just had a lot.
I feel it.
Had a lot. Here's my next question for you, Jessica. Was there more than just milk of the poppy in the king's drink?
I didn't think so, but you made it sound like right after
I think, when we see Daemon kind of sniff it and he kind of snuffs out that like, oh, they've been drugging up the king, keeping him drugged up. I'm wondering if there's more in there. If they were slowly trying to kill Viserys, I mean, he's doing great job of that on its own. But if they were not helping at all, right? If they're putting stuff in there to kind of keep him sick, keep him sicker, like keeping him drugged up is fine. I mean, there's a great moment the morning of the petition when we see them working on Viserys' body. And he tells Otto, he's like, I want to have supper. And Otto's like, it's morning, your grace. Like, just negging my guy in a hard way. He's like, no, not now, you idiot.
And they're
trying to keep him drugged up and stuff. And it's just like, they don't respect him at all. They see him as just this old feeble man.
I mean,
I'm wondering if they've been kind of like poisoning him a little bit.
I could see Larys doing that.
Oh, Larys doing it.
He wasn't there, but maybe in the next episode we'll see like a little, not even a flashback, or maybe just like he's talking to Alicent and he's like, well, now that the king's gone. Yeah. And it'd be like, no one knows the king's dead. And he'll be like, well, I do.
Yeah.
I know, because I've been poisoning him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there was a little more in that drink. We brought it up earlier with the moon tea. When they showed it being poured, I was like, do we know if moon tea's blue? I don't know if that's the right color. Like, I still don't know if that girl survived or not,
We never saw it, right? Because when they offered it
when Rhaenyra drank,
Rhaenyra.
Or when it was given to Rhaenyra, we don't know if she drank it or not. We didn't see it. We just saw it, just like seeing it poured out. I was like, is it supposed to be blue? I don't know. I'm not an apothecary.
Well, we don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a maester.
You're not a maester?
I'm not a maester. I don't know.
Maybe it's just some juice.
We'll see. I think they've been kind of poisoning him a little. Or like keeping, I think there's more than just milk of the poppy in there. I think there was like some stuff that was not good for him. Another quick question for you, Jessica. What is Talia's motivation for visiting the White Worm? This is a little scene we see right before the final scene. The White Worm, of course, is Massaria. Daemon's former lover was almost going to be married to him. He used her as a pawn. She's now like the rumor maker, right? The White Worm. Yes. She's the one spreading these rumors. We see Talia come visit her. at her little house.
I don't remember this scene.
This happens right before we see Viserys die. After dinner, before Viserys' death.
I don't remember
It was very
this
quick.
scene.
It was very quick.
To be fair, you guys, I watched this episode 2 days ago. We were off yesterday, so I don't.
This scene right here, okay?
Oh.
So she comes to visit, and Mysaria is like, a crazy night at the castle, huh? And she's like, Okay, what's going on here? Okay, who's on whose side? Which side is Talia working for here?
I think she's against the Targaryens.
So you think she's coming of her own volition to give these rumors to the White Worm, Mysaria, for money or for whatever? Mm-hmm. She does look kind of like down, right? She seems very demure. She seems like almost like, I shouldn't be here. Like, I don't want to be doing this. Mm-hmm. So you think that she's there on her own volition, spreading rumors.
I don't know if it's on her own.
Because
you don't think she's working with Larys?
Well,
I keep coming back to
here's
Larys.
the thing we know, right? We know Otto has used the White Worm before
Yeah.
to get information from her.
100.
Do you think Otto sent Talia there on purpose to spread some information?
He hasn't learned his lesson?
We don't know what information is being shared.
That's true.
We don't know that.
I don't think it's Otto because I feel like he's learned his lesson. Well, maybe because Viserys is more decrepit now, it's not as easy to catch a little spy. But I'm like, Otto, if you do this again, you gonna get caught.
Here's the thing: if Otto and Alicent want to kind of spread the word among the small folk that Rhaenyra is bad, or that she's got bastard kids, or all these things, they could kind of put false stories out there or put true stories out there into the rumor mill and let that spread amongst the small folk.
That's true.
Because they're important in this. If Rhaenyra has shown that she doesn't care what the small folk think. Like, when she had her crazy night out in town, she's like, I don't care what they think. I'm going to be the queen. Who cares? But it's like, it's important because if they rise up against you, you got a rebellion on your hands. And that's a problem, right? Yeah. You don't want that. So I think it could be that like she's out there spreading story, or Otto is purposely feeding stories to the White Worm. It could also be, the White Worm says like, oh, crazy night at the castle. But the White Worm could be sharing some more information to Talia, which will make its way to Alicent and Otto.
Okay, real talk.
So there's several ways this scene could go. I thought it was important. You brought up, we didn't see Larys Strong at all this episode, right? We didn't see him at all. We also did not see Alicent interact with Sir Criston Cole at all. He's been training up Aemond, but she's kind of keeping her distance from him too. And now she's got this new confidant in Talia. When they're talking to Diana and that scene, and Alicent is like, "Hey, you already told me. You told Talia, and you told the Kingsguard, and you said you can keep your mouth shut." And the girl's like, "What was it?" She's like so worried. That scene was so insane. Like Alicent confronting her own sexual assault in her
That's
face like
the
that.
part where I was
just
like,
crazy. It's just crazy. Very well acted.
It's horrible because it's like, yeah, she still did that, but it's like you could see the pain in her afterwards when she's confronting Aegon about it. She was like, "Why are you doing these things? Like these are horrible things. I didn't make you to do these horrible things." But it's like, that you don't talk to them enough, I guess.
It's all just trauma passed down through the generations.
Trauma,
But I think there could be a thing here where like Alicent is choosing the wrong confidants, right? So Criston Cole is a psycho and a bad guy, and like he can't let it go. Larys, huge psycho, huge bad guy.
Well, I
can't
think
let it go.
these people are
now
coming
you have
to
Talia,
her.
and if they didn't send Talia down there to talk to the White Worm, Talia is a bad choice and a confidant, right? Is this showing that Alicent has not chosen her people well?
I think they came to her and she doesn't know, not necessarily how to say no, but more of like, it's like, I don't have people rooting for me. I don't have any people on my side, so these people are on my side.
I need to play dirty? You think she knows she needs to play dirty?
The thing is, I don't know. And this is where it's like, because I'm an Alicent stan, that I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of hard because it's like, Rhaenyra doesn't have to do anything and she's fine. She doesn't have to do anything and she's fine because she's the princess and because she's a Targaryen. But Alicent does have to work twice as hard as she does. And so like people that are overly like, I stand with the princess, and it's like, well, the princess has done wrong. It's like Alicent needs to take those people that like don't agree with the princess, and she doesn't really have that many eggs to choose from. It's like you get a guy that likes cutting out people's tongues and a guy that had sex with the princess before. So also, it's been 6 years, but I was like, this is interesting. So Criston Cole is like fine, but maybe it's because he doesn't want to mess with Daemon.
Well, I think he's got a buddy in Aemond, right? He's training up Aemond. He's like, this guy can be a fighter. He'll be a great addition to the Greens. It's going to be great. I think he's found his like focus there. Like I can train this boy up and get him in the right way. It's also important to remember, Mysaria was with Daemon early on, and kind of she was there the night Daemon had the wild night on the town and like kind of crashed at her place. And she's like, pay for the room on your way out, right?
Yeah.
But do you think they could still be working together? Is Talia about to share some information that is gonna help Daemon? Or is Daemon feeding information to Mysaria that is then gonna make its way back to Otto? Do you think Mysaria could still be helping Daemon? Could they still be in line here? Or do you think they're fully on the outs?
Did that last conversation they had seem like she really hates him? Because
But
she was
also
using
got
him.
she's got her new
That's what I was
business
saying.
now.
She was
doesn't care
kind of
anymore.
using him, even though he was being mean to her.
Yeah.
She was like, I only married you because I wanted to get out.
Yeah. I think this scene is going to be very important in these last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think Mysaria and David could still be working together. And
I
they're
could
going to
see
feed
it.
some false information. But yeah, it's clear that there's leaks on all sides. Someone is getting leaked here. We just don't know who. We're going to find out. Okay, Jessica, one final question for you here. Where's Darren?
Which one is Darren?
Okay, so in the books, Alicent and Viserys have 4 children together. They have Aegon, they have Helaena, they have Aemond, and then later on they have Darren. In the timeline of the books, Darren's actually born not long after Jacaerys was born, but we haven't heard of Darren. I believe he spent some time in Old Town in his youth, so maybe he's there right now, but they didn't bring up Darren before the death of Viserys. Do you think they still had Darren? Do you think he's going to show up at some point? I don't think they would cut that
That'd be
character out
fun if he's
completely.
a major character. Otherwise, I could see, what if he's a bastard? And they change the storyline a
Oh,
little
and they
bit.
changed the story to make him... Who
And so
else
they
is
hide-
having sex with Viserys?
You mean with Alicent?
Whose bastard is Darren?
It would be Alicent's kid.
That she had with another man?
Yeah.
So she got pregnant from another man,
Yes.
kept it from Viserys, had
Well,
a baby,
shipped it away.
and Viserys never knew?
And Viserys doesn't know.
That would be some wild stuff,
Oh,
Jessica.
I'm only assuming this because I'm like, okay, what other way would we see this character come in after Viserys is dead? Unless
Yeah.
Alicent is pregnant right now and we don't know yet. But it's like, there had to be a child that got away. that ran away.
Maybe
That
the
ran
child
away.
was like, got
Because,
born,
I
and was
mean,
like, I gotta get out of here.
Let's remember that Alicent didn't really want to have kids.
No.
Remember that scene where she's just holding a crying baby in the
Looking
window?
out through the barred window, like, get me out of
God.
this hellhole.
Get me out of this hell. Maybe after like the 3rd, she was like, I can't.
Maybe. I don't know. If they've cut this kid out completely, I don't know. He does play a role in he does stuff. So
What if it's the
it would be
baby?
interesting if they got rid of him completely. I'm just kind of surprised they haven't brought him up yet. I mean, they've established that Helaena and Aegon have kids. Remember, Helaena kind of comes into the room when Alicent's talking to Aegon and is like, where's Diana? She's got to dress the kids. And Alicent's like, don't bring up Diana right now.
Don't bring her up right now. What if Diana's kid is gonna be the Darren?
Yeah,
If
I
she
don't
has
know.
a kid. If she
I
has a
don't
kid.
know.
But I think it'd be interesting if she like the moon tea didn't work and she's like, I have a kid. And it's rightful heir. And what do we know about Game of Thrones? This happens all the time. Here's this random
They always
child.
find a
Throne.
bastard. He should be king.
Yeah, he
I
should
don't
be king.
know. I
He
don't
should
know.
be king. He should be king.
Well, I hope Darren shows up. I'd love to meet this kid. He's got great parents. Let's talk about our power rankings. Jessica, let's wrap this thing up. Who gained the most power in this episode of Game of Thrones? Or of House of the Dragon? Not who's the most powerful. Who gained the most
I
power
think
in this
I agree with
episode?
you. I think it's Alicent. I think it's the Hightowers. After
got a lot of power
Viserys
right now.
died, and that's the thing is like in that
They hold all the
1
cards.
millisecond,
Yeah.
there you go.
And like
Alicent
right
just
now,
got all
the
the power.
Kingsguard's on their side. They have like the City Watch, the military.
Well, so when does Rhaenyra officially get to be crowned queen?
Well, it would be when Viserys is dead.
So technically, it would be Rhaenyra, right? Because it doesn't have to
should
go
be
through.
Rhaenyra. She is the heir to the throne.
I'm gonna say it's her then, because it's like there's nothing that Alicent and Otto can directly do right now. It goes
They
directly
can
to.
keep anyone from finding out that the king
Oh,
is
that's
dead.
true. That's true.
They
Okay,
can
never
keep
mind. I go
anyone
back
from
to the
finding out.
Hightowers. I go back to the Hightowers.
I think that's a good one. They have a lot of power right now. They hold all the cards. They got a problem on their hands, but they got a lot of power. I think Rhaenys gained the most power this episode because she gets to keep Driftmark.
Through her
She gets
grandchildren.
to keep through her grandchildren and what Corlys wanted. She gets to keep that. She's got Rhaenyra on her side now for sure. She's bonded her family
That's
to
true.
Rhaenyra's family by agreeing to that marriage proposal in front of everybody. No takes backsies. No takes backsies.
No take backsies.
She still has control of the Navy. She's got the Rhaenyra and Daemon on her side. They have dragons. They got 3 more eggs. They got a lot of power. You know, the Hightowers, via their position, have a lot of high power in the High Tower right now. But what they don't have is the element of surprise. Because now Rhaenyra can strike back whenever she wants. She did say to Alicent, I'll return on Dragonback. She was saying it in a nice way at the time. she's not going to do it in a nice way, I think, when word gets out about what's going on. She's going to want to know where her dad is. So I think Rhaenys gained the most power this episode.
Yeah.
She's really set herself up. She's sad, and she's lost a lot, but she's gained a lot of power this episode. Jessica, who lost the most power in this episode of Game of Thrones?
Does Vaemond count?
House of the Dragon. Vaemond lost a lot of power.
Vaemond had a little bit.
Power.
And yeah, all his motor skills.
Those kids are bastards!
Bastards!
I
I said,
bastards!
and whoever was the DP and director for this episode, they said, keep the shot on his close-up, blur out the finger a little bit. We know he's pointing.
I mean, what a performance.
I said, yes.
He did lose a lot of power this episode.
It's so funny because it's like a Valerian gained a lot of power, but a Valerian also lost a lot of power. I guess genuinely, I honestly would say, other than Vaemond, I keep somehow trying to lean Aegon because it's like Aegon is trying to be in line for the. It's like
I mean,
people are gonna.
He said before he didn't want it at all.
He didn't want it at all. He didn't want it at all. But he's the firstborn, and then on top of second born, first of Alicent's, whatever. So it's like he doesn't want it, but Alicent's like, you are the first one. So they're going to look at you, and then they're going to look at Jace and Rhaenyra. And Jace doesn't look like a bumbling idiot assaulting people. You are out of your mind. We're trying to spew that Rhaenyra is a horrible person, and instead, to the streets, they're going to hear that you're a rapist. Like, this is not what you're supposed to do.
No.
And so I think it's like they're trying to set him up so well, but he keeps just punching himself down.
Like even in that decapitation scene, like he doesn't even want to look at it.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want this.
I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to have to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not for me. Yeah, he lost a lot of power. I would almost argue that Viserys lost a lot of power this episode. He gets married, like he gets Baela. What a win. What a win, my guy.
What a win.
What a win, my guy.
He's great.
He gets Baela and all that, but like he was kind of shown, he gets punked at the dinner, right? And Aemond looks tough. And I think it doesn't look good for our strong boys. Like, they don't look so tough.
Their brains, their bronze. Yeah. And I'm like...
It's like, when they get back to Dragonstone, Daemon better be like, all right, pick up a sword, let's go. You boys need to learn how to stand up for yourselves a little better.
I'm like, Aemon loves Rhaenyra. So I'm like, you're going to stand with her kids no matter what. You better. Because I don't want you looking at Aemon and being like...
Yeah, Daemon does feel like, man, I wish you were on our side.
Yeah, we would be great.
We're
great. We're crazy people.
I think Viserys lost a little bit of power this episode. He doesn't look great as a lineup.
It's so interesting.
His High Valerian's not great. He's not.
At least
he's trying. He's trying.
I think his is in the books, which is great. But I'm also like, this is also Game of Thrones age, so books don't really help you right now unless you're a maester killing people.
Yeah, this is tough stuff. Well, I think that's it for this episode of Big Question Presents Talking Dragons. Jessica, we got 2 more episodes left of this series. We cannot wait. Be sure to join us here next week. We'll be back on Monday. Don't worry. No more holidays left for us. And be here for our final 2 episodes of Talking Dragons. And maybe we'll do a wrap-up after the season is over before we head on into the darkness without any more House of the Dragon.
We'll invite our best friend, Emma Darcy.
Yeah, Emma Darcy. Come on anytime you want. Olivia Cook. Anyone from the show.
Did you know that Emma Darcy is... Okay, sorry, you guys. You know how I do this. 30 years old.
Oh, yeah?
That person is 30 years old, looking great. Looking great person. They are amazing.
Did you know Viserys was 57 when he died?
Not even 60?
Not even 60.
Not even 86. He looked like he was 98 years old.
Oh, he's a fresh young man.
He woke up in the casket. Baby.
Don't forget to check out our many great merch options over at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at Brandon Barrick. And be sure to subscribe to Big Question wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever you listen to it. Do it. Thanks for watching. Join us here next week. And be sure to say it. Draconis!
Bastard!